Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Lens. This is Jake along with Scott, and this episode is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. You'll hear more about this later on in the podcast, but tonight we are excited to talk a little bit about the largest whiskey distillery in the world, Jack Daniel's, and how they are going craft. So Scott, I'm going to just dive right in with this one because this screams Scott Dilly all over it. Jack Daniel's is releasing two, not one, but two bottled and bond products. Did that make you jump out of your gym shorts?
It was a package that I was not expecting to arrive in the mail. Kind of came out of the blue to see bottled and bond on two new products from Jack Daniel's, not just one Tennessee whiskey. But yeah, as everybody knows, bottled and bond's my thing. So I'm excited for this one. I think this might be the first time we've actually talked about Jack Daniel's on our podcast.
I want to say it definitely is.
And it's not like for Tennessee hate. We're not doing that, but it's just something we've never done yet.
No, we haven't. And, in all honesty, shame on us for not doing it. And I'm excited to talk about this because Jack Daniel's is the number one recognized whiskey in the world, and it's not even close. And it's really interesting to dive into this particular one. Not even talking about Old Number 7. We're talking about this new product at 100 proof that they have out. So when you think of just Tennessee whiskey in general, like what's your thoughts?
As a Kentucky boy, no. Historically, I've just never really liked Tennessee whiskey, and I think it's just an implicit bias. I think we all have that to some extent about something. For me, it's the Kentucky versus Tennessee thing. I know you've kind of got that because you're a Kentucky football fan, but
yeah,
it's just there's so much Kentucky bourbon to explore. But I think after 3 years of podcasting, we're obviously we've reached outside of the state many times. So I think it's the time is due.
Yeah. Might as well head down 65 and just keep on driving down to Lynchburg, Tennessee. In all honesty, right? Like I think we can all trace our origins back to a night where we had Jack and Coke. And I'll give you even one better. The Jack and Coke ready-made drinks are pretty solid. I was a fan when I had one a couple years ago. But anywho, I've never really gotten into Jack. Now, I will tell you this. Someone did pour a Jack Daniel's barrel proof rye, and I really, really enjoyed it. So it's an interesting concept, right? Because now you have the Lincoln County process on something that's a little bit different. And a lot of people here or there, they'll debate, is Tennessee whiskey bourbon? According to the TTB, yes, it is. We're not here to debate that. They go with the declination of Tennessee whiskey because that's what Jack Daniel's wanted to do, was call it Tennessee whiskey to be different than Kentucky bourbon. But we're here to talk about these products. And first, we're going to talk about the new 100 proof bottled and bond. But for those who don't know, I mean, if you've listened to any episode of the Bourbon Lens, you should know what the Bottled and Bond Act is. It's Scott's Pledge of Allegiance, but again, for those, quick recap, the 1897 Act mandated that whiskey labeled bottled and bond remain under unadulterated from its original character and would be whiskey crafted by a single distillery during a single distilling season. This whiskey would spend at least 4 years in barrels and be bottled at 100 proof to ensure compliance to these standards. A treasury agent known as a revenuer would have control of the barrel house and its contents. The barrel house would be bonded or guaranteed by the federal government, which is held under lock and key. So that is the Bottled and Bond Act. For those people who do not know that, you are up to snuff.
Now you know.
Now you know. So when I saw this package, it came in a really big black box. Scott didn't see that, and it had wood chips in it. I was like, well, that's a really interesting way to make sure that it doesn't move around. Was they put wood chips in the box, and they had a nice little pamphlet. Love a good pamphlet. Helps me read because, as Kentucky folks, we don't read well, apparently. So they needed to include a pamphlet. But when I pulled out the bottle, the first thing I noticed was the design. You'll see pictures of it. I think it's a really well-designed bottle. I think it elevates the typical Jack Daniel's bottle with some embossment on it, and it looks really well. What's your just initial thoughts of the bottle and the different look?
It's fancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the traditional Jack Daniel's silhouette, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
but they're going with the elevated bottle look.
Yeah.
Cork stopper. Real simple, classic paper label on the front. I don't know. This looks pretty damn good on a shelf. So,
yeah, I think people will just pick it up because it looks different. In all honesty, they're gonna be like, "Hey, what's this new Jack Daniel's?" and they'll drink it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I poured mine. Scott grabbed the bottles, and we're ready to roll. So I set the pamphlet over top my bottles so that I could make sure there wasn't too many alcohol vapors gone. So bear with us as we drink through these. But Scott, I see you've taken a sip. What's your initial impression so far on this?
it's super sweet. Like it just hits me with a ton of like sugary sweetness. The typical Tennessee whiskey note that I don't know how to describe it, but I don't really get that here. It's just got a lot of like caramel sweetness, like almost like molasses and like brown sugar sweet.
Yeah, the brown sugar note is kind of what I'm getting right off the bat, and just a ton of corn, right? Their mash bill's 80, 12, 8. Like it is.
Yeah. It's more, I think it's more corn than most Kentucky bourbons, right?
Yeah.
I mean, most Kentucky bourbons are what, 75, 78%?
Yeah. And I can definitely tell it's got more body. I can remember drinking Jack a few times, right? This has more body characteristics. Does not have, I'm going to say, Tennessee hug. Since we're drinking Tennessee whiskey, it doesn't really have that, but it's got a nice consistent feel throughout. The one thing I want more of, and maybe it's just because I had my first drink, is I want more on the palate, right? Because it is that one dominant note right now that I'm getting. Like you said, brown sugar, molasses, something like that. That's just the dominant note and that dominant sweetness that I don't know if I'm picking up anything else yet.
I can tell you what I'm picking up, and it's what I always pick up with Jack Daniel's and some other major distilleries, but it's that banana candy, like that candied banana.
Like runts,
or like, I don't know, not artificial banana, but it's like, it's clearly got banana in it. Sometimes you can have like banana bread and it's just kind of like a little bit of banana. But
you know what's so funny? You say that. I wasn't getting that at all. And then all of a sudden,
the power of suggestion.
It was like bananas everywhere. But
it's in there.
But what's really interesting is, as you said, banana, the nuttiness kicked up in my like overall flavor profile.
I think it's just the yeast strain the yeast strains. I mean, there's some yeast strains that
who are their
like
sister distilleries.
That's true too. Yeah. I'm sure there's some crossover with yeast strains, but some yeast strains have like more of a strawberry note. Some of them are more nutty, and this one I just think is naturally brings out that banana. I don't know.
But what's really interesting? The more I drink it, the banana is definitely there, but it's kind of more like banana smoothie.
It's like just kind of lingers after you're done drinking it.
Yeah, like pureed almost. Like almost like this sounds bad. Like I don't think baby food smells bad at all. Like that's not, I think it smells like banana puree from like baby food. And like I ate some because I have, recently had a kid eating pureed food. I thought it was pretty good. Like it wasn't like, but it's like not super sweet, but it's like full of flavor, like banana, like mushed bananas.
Best baby food is Dutch apples. Kind of like cinnamon apples.
I tried to stay like we went with the squeeze tubes a lot versus like picking up the fork and shoveling it in there. But to each is their own. I've eaten a few.
First kid, we made our own baby food like that. Second kid, we're like, store bought's the way to go.
Gerber.
I actually don't remember my second having a lot of baby food.
No, you know what the crazy thing was? Jameson had baby food for 5-6 months, and it seems like he went right to solids.
Like just straight into, straight from milk to milk and cereal.
Yeah. No, but like the more I drink this, the more it's growing on me. Like this is something I could, especially for the summer months coming up, because of its sweetness, I could drink it, especially throw like a cube in here. You can
I'd be interested to see how it holds up, especially being at that 100 proof. Because I think like people when they're mixing Jack and Coke, like it's just because they kind of like whiskey.
Yeah.
But they really just want something sweet and cold to drink.
Well, and you take that sweet Coke and then you add it on top of a sweet bourbon or sweet whiskey, and you're off to the races. To be honest, this is really good. I don't know what the price point is on it, to be 100% honest with everyone listening, but I think it's
venture to guess like probably like 40.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
$40. We could probably figure that out kind of quickly, but
yeah,
put it in the show notes.
This is enjoyable. For the first time really ever talking about Jack on a podcast, like this is enjoyable to me. Something that I could really get behind, something I could drink all summer. So when I come over for, cigars in the summer, Scott, we'll drink some Jack Bottled and Bond.
Which all of my humidors are currently perfectly calibrated, set 71% humidity on the one, 69% on the other. So yeah, we're ready to go.
I got a late Easter basket gift from my mom. I got a corksicle glass with the cigar holder.
Oh,
nice.
I think I've got one of those.
It's pretty cool. Like
I got one of those recently, but I haven't had a chance to use it because the weather's been junk.
Yeah, it was a rainy April.
Golly, I was like, oh, the weather's finally warm enough. I don't want to freeze my butt off to smoke a cigar. And then
torrential downpours,
rain. You can't. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. So no, I think we need to have our matching corksicle glasses, and that's a picture for the gram.
I'm in.
All right, done. I told Lauren that I'm allowed like 3 cigars this summer. She was like, okay.
It's one a month. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge smoker, but a cigar every now and again, pretty solid.
Yeah. I'm in for it. Pencil me in.
All right. We'll do it. Again, thanks for listening to another episode of the Bourbon Lens. This is brought to you by Manscaped. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my Manscaped story. They were able to send us the new Lawnmower 4.0 combo kit package, and it was the best men's trimmer that I have personally tried. I have done men's grooming for a long time. I do shave my chest and the nether regions below, and this has been the easiest trimmer that I have used personally, and it allows for me to get ready for summer. So as you would want to look ready for that beach body or that dad bod, either or, you got a couple of opportunities as summer comes around the corner, or Father's Day. You can use code Bourbon Lens at checkout for 20% off your order, as well as free shipping to your doorstep. And thanks again, Manscaped, for sponsoring this episode of the Bourbon Lens. And we're going to get back to the episode as we turn into Jack Daniel's second Bottled and Bond that they sent us, Triple Mash, which is a blend of Tennessee whiskey, Tennessee rye whiskey, and American malt whiskey. So Scott, welcome back as we join in here to talk about the Triple Mash after that message brought to you by Manscaped. So this is really interesting. This is where I think they went craft, is this mash bill right here. Bringing single malt in, thinking of the world's largest distiller, thinking about American single malt, something that we have been like talking about how big it's going to be. And for them to take notice of that craze is huge for every American single malt distiller.
They've been sitting on it for over 4 years now. Quietly. Didn't tell anybody till now. That's the great thing about Bottled and Bond, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can't just push it out and be like, oh, this is something new that's trendy, ready to go. They just roll out a 2-year whiskey. No, it's got to be 4 years old. Like they've been sitting on this, and then they blended it with a rye whiskey, which according to a lot of people, the rye whiskeys are hidden gems, especially some of the barrel proofs.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one came out of left field. Totally didn't expect this. Like Bottled and Bond, sure. Like Jack Daniel's doing Bottled and Bond, it's a natural thing. But Triple Mash, like what?
Yeah.
From one of the most traditional American whiskey distilleries, they're going to put out something like this, which is, like you said, crafty.
Yeah. Well, and I just took a wee bit of a sip. Oh boy. Like I'm excited. I'm excited just to dive into it. But what's super interesting is the rumor I had heard prior to seeing all this and getting these samples were they were going to put out just a straight American single malt. I like this approach a little bit better, right? For the non-American single malt drinker, this is like a way to get them introduced because the little sip I just had introduces the characteristics of single malt to a whiskey drinker.
Yeah, it definitely has that maltiness up front, but then I think this one finishes more like a rye whiskey.
I like the nose on it. It's got a lot of wood to it, and like you're almost outside. Like that, it smells a lot like outdoors to me.
Like somebody's cut up your tree out in your backyard.
Yep, and like some dark chocolate.
I saw that stack of wood that you had back in the backyard today.
Thanks for the tornado for knocking down a tree.
Yeah. Hey, we can let that dry out a little bit, chop it up, and we'll have a fire pit.
I got some nice cedar logs. Cedar.
It's going to smell great.
Oh, man. We're also going to take some portions of it, and we're going to saw it up, and we're going to make cutting boards and sell them on Etsy.
That's so bougie.
Hey, there's a market.
I don't disagree. You could sell anything crafty like that on Etsy, and some suburban mom's going to buy it.
Hey, you just make it affordable prices.
True. You just got to undercut your competition just a little bit.
Yeah. Man, so I thought the bottled and bond would have been the summer drink. This is a summer drink right here. And they have a cocktail idea called the Old Pal, which is 3/4 ounce of Jack Daniel's triple mash, 3/4 ounce dry vermouth, 3/4 ounce Italian aperitif, and garnished with a lemon twist. You don't even need that. Just get some ice. Puts this on a rock. You're vibing all night. Like,
I just love this proof point. 100 proof. It's like it shows up. It doesn't light you on fire. It's a great proof point to drink a new whiskey at.
It's like it's got like this oatmeal raisin note to it that is just out of the world, like good. And the maltiness, I love the maltiness on this. I never thought I would be like fangirling right now on some Jack Daniels, but I am. Like I think this triple mash is super good.
You know what it kind of reminds me of is that cinnamon bread note that was in our Frey Ranch pick.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like that doughy, malty.
It does have that doughy characteristic too, now that you say that. Like this is just a really super solid pour. And I like that it lingers and it's got some warmth on the back end, but not in a bad way. It's like you're kind of breathing through it, super simple. But I like both of these.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a certain night for either of these, right? I think the triple mash is more of a cooler evening. The bottled and bond just bourbon or Tennessee whiskey is more for a warmer evening.
Yeah, this triple mash, it has like a pop of fruit at the end too.
Mm-hmm.
That it definitely is varied.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like at first I was like, oh, it's malty up front, rye on the back. Now it's like doughy and like a pop of like cherries or strawberry, like red fruits.
Yeah. So we didn't go over what this is, but it's 60% Jack Daniel's Tennessee rye, 20% Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey, and then 20% Jack Daniel's American malt. So the proportion is on rye.
It's heavy rye.
Heavy rye. Yeah. And then even proportions on the bourbon and the Tennessee whiskey and.
So really just a touch of corn then.
Touch.
Like 15% corn maybe.
But what is their rye mash bill?
That's true.
Like, is it?
It's probably not 90 plus. It's probably like a Kentucky style rye.
Yeah. But Jack seems to be pretty transparent.
I bet you could Google that, right?
Dr. Google will tell me anything.
I mean, yeah, that is it. It's definitely interesting to note that it's 60% rye or rye whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the most interesting thing. That I would have thought that the base would have been the Tennessee whiskey, but it is not. So they are a 70% rye, 18% corn.
12% malted barley?
Yep.
Is that right, math? Yeah.
Yeah. So to be honest, like the malted barley content in this whiskey is kind of high.
There's a lot. Yeah.
You're getting 24% off the rye and the bourbon, or the rye and the Tennessee whiskey. And I keep calling it bourbon just because it is a bourbon. It is what it is. And then I'm assuming that the American malt is 100% malted rye.
No, malted barley.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Malted barley.
Yeah, this one's just different. I mean, totally out of left field.
It is out of left field. It is, and like we're kind of like nuancing right here, but I love that they're taking these chances. Like doing something different.
Well, they got to speak to. You got to be careful because there's two markets for Jack Daniel's, right? There's the international market. There's the traditional. We want an American Tennessee whiskey. There's that market.
Mm-hmm.
But then here in America, the whiskey drinker's changing, right?
Yep.
They're wanting that more craft. They're wanting that more exclusive or limited or just all around different bottling.
Mm-hmm.
So like if Jack Daniel's just continued to do what they were doing, they would be totally fine, right? Producing Old Number 7, they'd be totally fine. But they recognize there's more than just our Old Number 7. We've got a lot more in our bag of tricks. And I think that's what they're really trying to lean into. Not just going super high proof and be like, here's our Tennessee whiskey at 147 proof, which they did.
Yeah. I mean, here's Coy Hill. Right.
But they're speaking to a certain population there.
Yeah.
Your Old Number 7 Tennessee whiskey drinker is probably not wanting to go almost double in proof, right?
Yeah.
They're wanting to drink like a sipping whiskey.
Oh, 100%. So this is not their first bottled in bond, according to the website, Jack Daniel's.
Yeah, I didn't think it was. I thought I'd seen some others.
Yeah, like there's one. It's Jack Daniel's bottled in bond whiskey, but I think it's like a re-release because it's a completely new bottle. But what's really interesting? Jack Daniel's does have a varied lineup, which I don't think a lot of people know. It is a pretty varied lineup from just the amount of products that they have in market. So, this is the ultimate question that we always ask, like, which one do you prefer?
I don't think I could pick right now. I think I'd need some more time with them.
Yeah.
But again, they're two totally different types of whiskeys.
They are.
One's got that corn element really strong. And the other one's got that maltiness, but then it's also like pretty rye forward.
Mm-hmm.
100 proof. Both of them drink very solid. Like just in terms of like mouthfeel, like that's just what I look for.
Yep.
It's like a little bit of body, a lot of flavor, and it sticks around and it doesn't kill you on proof.
Yep. I'm going to be honest with you. I think I'd go triple mash just because of the time of the year. I think it gives you more fruitiness, gives you more characteristics. This is rye time for me. As we turn to summer months, that's just what I want to drink because I don't think it drinks as dark, right? Like you don't get like chocolate and that much in rye. You're getting more citrus, vanillas, honeys, things that lend more towards summer, easy over ice or easy in a cocktail. I think this one would be really well done in those things. So I'd go triple mash, but I don't think you lose on either one.
No, I think that both of them are very solid. Surprising. Like, honestly, give me some Old Number 7 on this podcast and I'm gonna be like, it's kind of boring, but proof it up a little bit. 100 proof. That's where I love. So both of these, I mean, they're great at 100 proof.
Yeah. 100%. So this has been really fun just getting into Jack Daniel's for the first time on the Bourbon Lens. I look forward to, continuing to expand. I know we have some Patreon members like Matt, big old Matt. that loves him some Jack Daniels. So maybe next time we do that, we'll invite Matt on to Big Whiskey. We'll invite Big Whiskey on to talk a little Jack Daniels because he's got an extensive Jack Daniels collection. And if we're going to drink with the Jack Daniels drinker, might as well drink with him.
The biggest.
With the biggest. I mean, good Lord, he makes me look tiny. And that's no small feat. So as we close up shop here, any other parting shots for this little tasting for the evening?
I'm holding you to that cigar night, and I'll bring the new bottles of Jack.
Well, I'll just drive to you, and you can just bring the bottles out.
True. Well, so we can do it here. Yeah, we can do it here, or we can do it at your place.
Yeah. So summer is here, I think. But we're super excited, and I hope everyone that listened to this episode won big on the Derby. I probably have already lost all my money, and I'm getting kicked in the keister for putting too much money in Twin Spires.
I didn't take any money. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks as always for listening to another episode of the Bourbon Lens. We're super gracious for Jack Daniels for supplying these samples, and we're also super thankful for Manscaped for sponsoring this episode. Again, code Bourbon Lens at checkout for 20% off your Manscaped order. I would recommend the Lawnmower 4.0. Great buy. And free shipping. Can't beat that these days. As always, please like, subscribe, and download our latest podcast on your favorite podcast listening app. And if you have time, drop a review. It's huge for us. I know I say it every week, but we really appreciate it if you would do that. You can go over to patreon.com/Bourbon Lens. We got some really cool stuff planned. We finally got our Bourbon Lens Libby glasses in, so we'll be sending those all out for our $10 Patreon members. So people like John and Simon and Marty, thank you all for being Bourbon Lens supporters of Patreon. And if you don't want to do that and you want to just follow along, you can go over to Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, at Bourbon Lens. And you can also sign up for our newsletter. And there's a lot of cool stuff that happens there. We post exclusive things about our barrel picks. And by this episode, there'll be a new barrel pick in market. So go check out that new Broken Barrel Sauternes finish that we got to work with that team. And thank you, Seth, for that opportunity. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.